Our instruction this week is going to focus on Unit 6, Lesson 8, and our learning targets are I can use parentheses in order to correctly solve a problem. We're going to learn what parentheses are, what they mean in math, and how to use them. And then our second learning target is I can determine if a problem has too much or too little information. If a problem has too much information, you have to determine which information you don't need. And if a problem has too little information, you can't solve it, so you just have to know what you would have needed in order to solve it. So, first we're going to talk about parentheses. So parentheses are very bossy. I made up a little rhyme. It goes, my name is parentheses and I am super bossy. Whatever's inside of me you must do first. So parentheses are these little half circles. You use them in your writing and we also use them in math. So whatever the parentheses are around, you have to do that operation first. So for example, this equation, parentheses 9 minus 6 divided by 3. That means you take the difference of 9 minus 6 and then you divide it by 3. The order with the parentheses in which you do something, if you change the order or if you don't follow the parentheses, you'll get a different answer. Okay? So 9 minus 6 is 3. And then you take 3 and you divide it by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So the answer for this problem, parentheses 9 minus 6 divided by 3, means you first take the difference and then you divide it by 3 and you get 1. Let's say we did 9 minus parentheses 3 divided by 6. That means the first thing you have to do is divide 6 by 3, and then you subtract that quotient from 9. So first, 6 divided by 3 is 2. Then you take 9 minus 2. 9 minus 2 is 7. You see how we have the same numbers and the same operations, but the order in which you do them results in different answers. That's why it's important that whatever's in the parentheses, you do first. An example of when you might need to use this is, say you're buying, I'm going to put a dollar sign here for the sake of our problem. Okay. Say you're buying 4 shirts that are $12. 4 shirts that are $12. And then, based on whatever that total is, there's $3.74 of tax tacked on. So it's not $3.74 times 12. It's the cost of the shirts plus $3.74. So first you would do 12 times 4, and you would get 48. And then you would do 48 plus $3.74. That's the cost of the t-shirts before tax. This is the tax we're going to add on. $48 plus $3.74 equals, you might be able to do this in your head. If you cannot, that's okay. It equals $51.74. So that's an example of where you have to pay attention to the order of the operations, and parentheses always go first. So what we're going to work on now is writing equations and solving them with parentheses. So it says, write and solve an equation to find the amount of money each student spent at the school bookstore. Tom, 1 eraser for 59 cents, 6 pencils for 15 cents each. So the 1 eraser for 59 cents is a one-time thing. We're going to add that price to whatever 6 pencils at $15 each is. So we have the one eraser at 59 cents plus whatever we get when we multiply this. So this needs to go in parentheses because we have to solve this first and then add on the cost of that one eraser. Now you could have also written this first and then wrote plus 59 after. That is okay. All right? So then I'm going to show my work on the side. I'm doing 15 cents times 6. I'm going to ignore my decimals at first. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. I have 2 decimal places, so 90 cents. So I'm going to have 90 cents plus that 59 cents. I'm going to get 9. 9 plus 5 is 4. I bring down in the same spot. So the total cost at the bookstore is $1.49. If you had put your parentheses in a different place, you would have gotten a different answer. Okay. Jay bought 8 book covers for 90 cents each. I'm circling the information that goes together. And 1 pen for 49 cents. Think about where you would need to put your parentheses for this equation. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't write a good equation. I should have picked a variable. That was my fault. I was focusing too much on the parentheses. So n equals. So I'm going to use n again. N equals. What you need to do first is figure out how much was spent on the book covers. So I'm going to do parentheses, 8 book covers that cost 90 cents each. And then I'm going to add on the one-time cost of the pen, which was 49 cents. And then you solve. So again, we're going to do 90 cents times 8. A strategy to solve this would be to do your fast fact. So 72. Add your 0, which I did. And then we have to shift in 2 times. So we have $7.20 plus those 49 cents. What do we get as our answer? $7.69. Okay. Let's move down now. So, down here, you can pause and you can try these out. Okay? Remember, parentheses always go first. So you would do 5 times 60, then subtract 2. 4 divided by 1/10, then add 2.5. Okay? It's an equation, and you're solving for the variable. Parentheses go first. Okay? Let's look here. Solve 2-step word problems. What we did here is a 2-step problem. We just wrote it as one equation. This was step 1. This was step 2. So we're just going to continue with that. I'm going to annotate my problem. A suburban shopping mall has 105 rows of parking spaces with 45 spaces in each row. A special permit is required to park in 630 of those spaces. How many spaces, S, do not require a special permit? How many spaces, S, do not require a special permit? So, the first thing we have to do is we have to say, okay, we need to know how many spaces there are in total. I'm going to write my equation by saying S equals, because that's the variable they gave me. To solve for, since that's my first step, to solve for how many spaces there are in total, I'm doing that first in parentheses. 105 times 45. And then they're saying of that amount, 630 of them, so you will know that there's going to be more than 630 total. 630 of them require a permit. So we're going to subtract the ones that require a permit to figure out how many spaces you don't need a permit for. So step 1, how many spaces there are in total. Step 2, subtract the difference. And we're going to show our work over here. So you can pause and do this work. Okay, so I got that there is 4,725 total spaces. And I'm going to subtract the 630 that require parking permits. So S equals 4,095 spaces. That's how many do not require a parking permit. Okay, let's move on. Let's do number 17. An investor purchased 250 shares of stock. Shares of stock are basically like little parts of a company. Calculate the investor's total cost if the price per share was $18.40 and a fee of $6.75 was charged for the transaction. One of these numbers was a one-time charge. So we should not be multiplying that charge, we should be adding it on. So there's 250 shares of stock at $18.40 per share. So to understand what was spent on the shares of stock, we have to multiply. That's done first. And then tacked on to this amount was a fee of $65.75. So there's your equation. And then we're going to solve for C, what the cost was that this investor had spent. So first, you multiply, then you add. Okay? You can pause and try it. Okay. Big number, it seems like. Okay, so he spent $4,500 plus the fee of $65.75. When you add that on, you get a total of, I did not utilize my space well, but sometimes in these books, they just don't give you enough space. C equals 4,600. No. Did I goof up? Oh, yeah, that's supposed to be a 6. That was my bad. $4,665.75. That's how much was spent in total on the stock. So it was $18.40 per share. So there was 250, so we had to multiply by 250 first in the parentheses. Then you added on the one-time charge. Okay? Another strategy in solving word problems is determining if the word problem gives you too much or too little information. If it gives you too much information, that means you need to figure out what you don't need. So it's the numbers that you won't use. And if there's too little information, then you can't solve it, and you need to figure out what you would have needed in order to solve it. So, let's read our directions. Solve each problem if possible. If a problem has too much information, identify the extra information. If the problem has too little information, describe the information that is needed to solve the problem. So first, this is our situation. So think in your head, what do you need? What do you not need? Mei Ling is reading a 228-page book. Yesterday, she read the first 41 pages of the book. Today, she read the next 13 pages. Her goal tomorrow is to read 10 pages. How many pages of the book have not been read as of today? Okay, so I'm going to go through and annotate. Mei Ling is reading a book, a 228-page book. Yesterday, she read 41 pages. Today, she read the next 13 pages. Her goal tomorrow is to read 10 pages. How many pages of the book have not been read as of today? What information do we not need? The information we don't need is the information about the future. We don't need to know that her goal is to read 10 pages tomorrow, because we're not talking about tomorrow, we're talking about today. So the information we don't need is her goal of 10 pages tomorrow. That's not a number or information that we need, so I'm even going to cross it out because I don't want it to confuse my brain. Write the information that is needed to solve the problem. Well, we need to know the number of pages total, which is 228. We have to know what she's read so far, which is 41 pages and 13 pages. And now we need to solve for what's left in the book by taking the total. Did they give us a variable? They did not. I'm going to use P for pages. So we're going to take the total number of pages in the book and subtract what she already read. We have to use parentheses because what she already read is these two numbers combined. So the number of pages that are left is the total minus what she already read. This is what you do first to solve for what she already read, 41 plus 13. You take this sum and you subtract it from the total. Pause and show that work. So the number of pages that are left are 174 because you add this and then subtract it from 288. So this had information. It had too much information. We didn't need this, and you needed to use your understanding of what the problem was asking for in order to determine that this was not necessary. Let's look down here. The students in Mr. Westgate's class have been arranged in equal groups for an activity. There are 4 students in each group. How many students are participating in this activity? Okay, I'm going to go through again and annotate it. The students in Mr. Westgate's class have been arranged in equal groups for an activity. There are 4 students in each group. How many students are participating in the activity? Well, I don't know how many groups there are. It says there's equal groups and there's 4 in each group, so I know I have to do 4 times something to solve it. But I don't know how many groups there are. So we can't solve it. This has too little information. So we need, what information do we need? What's too little? We need the number of groups. So you really can't solve that problem. The purpose of determining if you have too much or too little information is in life, you're going to have to problem solve. And sometimes you're not going to have all the information that you need. So you need to understand what other information you need to gather in order to solve something. Or you need to be able to sort through lots of information and determine which parts of it you have to use in order to solve the problem. Okay, last one. I accidentally wrote on that line and it was bothering me. Okay. To prepare for a math test, Kelsey studied for half an hour. Okay, Kelsey studied for half an hour. Lila studied for 3/4 of an hour. Okie dokie. Ricardo studied for 1/3 of an hour. And Marcus studied for 1 hour. Marcus studied a lot longer. Did Marcus study longer than the combined times of Ricardo and Kelsey? Did Marcus study longer than the combined times of Ricardo and Kelsey? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 people, but my question is only asking me about Marcus, Ricardo, and Kelsey. So this gave us too much information. What information do we not need? We don't need Lila's study time. Because it's not asking us about Lila. It's asking if Marcus studied longer than these two combined. So I'm even going to cross out the information about Lila studying for 3/4 of an hour because I don't need that. So write the information that is needed to solve the problem. Then solve the problem and explain your answer. So what information do we need? We need the times Kelsey and Ricardo studied. We also need the time that Marcus studied. I'm going to use T for time in order to solve this. So here's my equation. So I'm taking the combination of two kids' times and subtracting it or comparing it to the time that Marcus studied. So I'm going to say T equals, what did Kelsey study for? Kelsey studied for a half an hour. And we're going to add it to what Ricardo studied for. Ricardo studied for 1/3 of an hour. And we are going to add those together and solve for the amount of time that they studied. We need common denominators. 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Times 2. When we add them, we get 5/6. Now, what did Marcus study for? Marcus studied for 1 whole hour. So how do we compare 1 to 5/6? 1 is greater than 5/6. So did Marcus study longer than the combined times of Ricardo and Kelsey? Our answer is yes. Okay? So sometimes you are going to see a problem that has too much information, and you need to look at the question and figure out which information you actually need. Other times, most likely in life, most likely on a test, you're not going to be given a question, like on a state test or something like that. You're not going to be given a question that you can't solve. But in your life, you're going to encounter situations where you don't have everything that you need in order to find an answer. So it's important to be able to figure out what you don't have. Okay? And that is our focus for this week. Parentheses, which is order, and order matters. Remember, we got different answers when we did parentheses 9 minus 6 divided by 3. We got 1. Then when we did 9 minus parentheses 6 divided by 3, that was 7. So parentheses and order matter, and we learned how to determine the information needed in a problem.